السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. إن شاء الله تعالى will review from الروض المربع the chapters of فروض الوضوء وصفته النواقض الوضوء. And I believe also what's mentioned is أنباب الغسل. أنباب الغسل. So this is all part of كتاب الطهارة. And the way to study, as mentioned before, this book, the book of Al-Rawd, is keep it the way it is. And this is an advice. Don't try to make it simplified, even when you're studying it. Uh, you can put numbers and things like this, but it's important that the way that you go back and review, sometimes things are not clear again. So you understand it, so you make it clear. And it's a book to be always revisited. So that's why it's important to make sure that this effort, when it's done, it makes the matter more established in the heart, different than when something is extremely easy from the very beginning. So, and it's always important to keep the books according to the way of the author and the way of the ulama in this. So that's why when we're reviewing, that means we're assuming that we listened to the lectures, we followed the book word by word. And again, when you start studying, you will discover that no, I don't understand this mas'ala. I don't understand what is meant by the ruling here, or the many different things that are mentioned there. So this is now, it's important to keep on asking about these things, inshallah. If you have any questions, please go ahead while I'm speaking, because this is what it's meant for in the beginning, is to make sure that you review these chapters. And if you have any questions in the matn or in the sharh, to bring it up, inshallah ta'ala, we'll go to that page and we'll try to explain it, inshallah. But as mentioned, that from page 16, the فروض الوضوء وصفته, the obligations of al-wudu and the sifa of how to make wudu, and the six furud of al-wudu as mentioned in the ayah of the Quran. And part of that is a tartib, or for things to be done in order, and the evidence of that also from the verse itself, that what's mentioned in the particular order of the verse. And what we learn also from the book is sometimes the masail that are mentioned that might be rare to happen, but it makes the understanding of the mas'ala very clear. And this is an example here in 120 about the tartib, about the making the wudu in tartib, where in the particular order of the verse. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala أدخل الممسوح بين المغسولات. He mentioned something to be wiped in the middle of something to be washed. So the way that not just the Arabs, but the way that a person when he speaks, he would, if he wants to say this, you wash this and you wipe this. But instead of saying that, فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم. So a rijl is to be washed, and the masih was mentioned before it, and before that is ghusl. So that means the tartib here is a pair of the wudu. But then the mas'ala, if someone made the wudu munakkasan, as in page 120, when it's done backward. If someone made the wudu backward, is it valid? No, it's not. But if he does it backward 4 times continuously, that means the wudu is valid, because the first one to be washed in the order will be made last. But then if you do it 4 times, then the one next in order will be done second, and so on. And the same thing if someone jumps into the water with the intention of making wudu, not making ghusl, with the intention of making wudu, then if he comes out with the tartib, that means also the orders of washing, then it's fine. And if someone is in a pool, for example, or in the sea swimming, making wudu by rubbing the organs of wudu in order, this is sufficient also. And also the subject of al-muwala, the continuity of it and the evidence of it as mentioned, and some of the exceptions that cuts or stops the continuity of things. And then the niyyah is mentioned, and many masail of the niyyah is mentioned. And in the madhab, as we heard, that the niyyah, since this is a matter of ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so the niyyah is something to be respected, something to be given it's important. And that's why if someone made intentions just to make any wudu or any tahara, but without any reason, that is not sufficient for the salah to be established. But the other riwayah that it's sufficient as long as a person is doing it as ibadah. But it doesn't have to be the intention for a specific salah or a specific act of worship. It can be just with the intention of making ibadah tahara, to make ibadah, to make worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the same thing if someone is teaching, like for example, you're teaching children how to make wudu. If this is the only intention to teach them, then that person, the teacher, his wudu is not valid. Unless he has the intention that he's making wudu, but at the same time he's teaching the children. Then in that case, the wudu is valid because the intention, because the niyyah that is there. And if a person makes the niyyah to do something masnoon, something recommended, like reciting the Quran, for example, that is sufficient for the fard salatu. And all of these different masail here, again, I don't want to mention all of them, but it's just to show the importance of it and to have the niyyah, because this is a condition, so it needs to be present with the person from the beginning to the end of the ibadah. And talked about sifatul wudu, how to make wudu in details, so hopefully this is also is clear. And the issue of helping someone making wudu, this is permissible. And the same thing with regards to wiping. Mash al-khuffayn, and other than the khuffayn, that is okay to wipe over. This is also with the masail of it and the conditions for the khuf to be valid, and the khuf and the imama and things like this. And the jabira, the differences between wiping over the khuf and wiping over the jabira or the cast, or when a person is wounded, and the different masail, if someone wiped when he's traveling, then he returned home, or vice versa. All of that is mentioned, and the two types of socks. So this is al-masah al-khuffayn. And nawaqid al-wudu, the 8 negators of wudu, also is mentioned. And there, the major concepts of it, of course, it's straightforward. And sometimes the masail, the details of the masail or the examples might not be clear when you read it. So this is where it's important also to make sure that it's understood. So these are the ones with nawaqid al-wudu. And one of the mufradat of the madhab is to eat camel meat, which is the jumhur that it doesn't break the wudu, but the madhab that it breaks because of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And the subject of the doubt and the principle here is to build on what's certain and what's forbidden for a person not in state of wudu, like touching the mushaf and the like of that. Bab al-ghusl is the last one that we wanted to go through. And again, I'm not reviewing any of this. I'm just see if you have any questions. Al-ghusl is, as we know, is the definition of it is making sure that the entire body is washed with water, including the mouth and the nose. And what mujibat al-ghusl, what makes it obligatory. And this is also mentioned here, and who's the one that is obligatory upon them to make ghusl, then certain things are not permissible for them. And what's the wudu, if a person requires to have ghusl but made wudu to lesser the level of the al-janaba, that's only if a person wants to stay in the masjid. And then the perfect way of making ghusl And this is basically the end of it. So these are three chapters that are easy, inshallah. So see if you have any questions, inshallah. Page number 135. يفرج أصابعه إذا مسح. Now, question is, the word يفرج means spread fingers or join. Same page. ولا يجزئ لو اقتصر عليه. نعم. Here this مسألة وسنة أن يمسح بأصابع يده من أصابعه أي أصابع رجليه إلى ساقه. What's recommended is to wipe with one's hands and fingers from the asabi', from the toes till his shin. Wipes the right foot with the right hand and the left foot with the left hand. ويفرج أصابعه إذا مسح. يفرج, that means he opened them, does not make them closed like this. So he spread them, but not in an extreme way, just in a normal way. And the significance of that is that, as you see, that if someone does this, not every spot on the khuf or the socks will be wiped, but that's sufficient. ويفرج أصابعه إذا مسح. So this means spreading. وكيف مسح أجزاءه. Whatever way that he make مسح is sufficient, whether it's the right on the right or the right on the left or anything. ويكره غسله. It's disliked to wash it. وتكرار مسحه, or to repeat the مسح. And دون أسفله. And the wiping is the top of the socks, not the bottom of it. أي أسفل الخف. وعقبه, and not the heels. فلا يسن مسحهما. The bottom and the heels are not to be wiped. This is not part of the ibadah. But if someone wipes over the top of the foot or the socks, and also the bottom and the heels, right? What made it valid is that he wiped on the top. But he did something that is not part of the مسح that it's supposed to be done. فلا يسن مسحهما ولا يجزئ لو اقتصر عليه. لا يجزئ, that means it's not sufficient, it's not valid if he اقتصر عليه, if he only did these things without the top. لا يجزئ. So if someone wiped only on the bottom of his socks, then his wudu is not valid. Or if someone wiped the heels, then his wudu is not valid. This is ولا يجزي ولا اقتصر, if he only did these two things or one of them. But if he did these two, but at the same time he wiped what's supposed to be wiped, which is the upper part of the socks, then what's al-ijza here is because he wiped the top part of the socks. So if you see someone wiping all over the socks, the top and the bottom and so on, you won't tell that person, that your wudu is not valid. No, his wudu is valid. But you tell him the bottom or the heels, this is not part of what you wipe. And that's not the sunnah. And if a person believes that this is a good thing, that's bid'ah in the deen. But if you see him only doing the bottom, then his wudu is not valid. This is what is meant. Allah. So to understand, inshallah ta'ala, what we covered is that if, say for example in the exam, a portion of, not all the exam will be like this, but for example, if the whole passage is given, like this passage, for example, وَسُنَّ أَنْ يَمْسَحَ بِأَصَابِعِ يَدِهِ, to the end, وَلَا يُجْزِئُ لَوْ اقْتَصَرَ عَلَيْهِ, without translation or anything. And then it says, explain the last sentence. Then we should be able to explain it, inshallah. Page 141. The word أفضى بيده, its meaning, it comes in Quran too. أفضى بعضكم إلى بعض. Now, so first of all, let me see the line here. Now, من أفضى بيده إلى ذكره. أفضى بيده, that means he made his hand to touch his private part. And this gives the sense of something on something. Something that is encompasses something, or and this is what the ayah also in the Quran as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the relationship between the husband and the wife when in the verses of the divorce that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala كيف تأخذونه وقد أفضى بعضكم إلى بعض وأخذنا منكم ميثاقا غليظا, warning the people not to transgress the limits as a result of divorce. When people try to be unjust or take what they're not right to take. So how would you do that? وقد أفضى بعضكم إلى بعض. When one of you أفضى to the other. And al-ifda is when you reach something. Basically, this is what al-ifda means. And also, like we say, أفضيت إلى كذا, that means you reached in such a perfect way, right? So and this refers to one of the words that is implicit to the relationship, And it's actually, which is a very good, interesting thing to understand how the perfect words are used. The word al-ifda is not just reaching, it's when, as you know, the word al-fada is emptiness or the openness, right? And the same word they use it for space. So al-ifda, that means they reached in a state where there's no space between them, right? So that means here man afda biyadi ila dhakari, that means he touched it. It's a very clear word to make sure that it's there was no space between the hand and the dhakar. And the same thing here when it's mentioned this relationship. How would you do such a thing when you had reached one another? That means you were very close, that there was no space between you. How can you be betrayal, or how can you be in such bad manners when this was the state that was between both of you? And this is something for people to remember. And this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the people to be faithful, even if it's valid for them to be divorced or even friendship or anything. The closeness requires some rights that is more than anyone that is further away. The closer the person is to someone, the more rights that are to be observed, whether it's physical closeness or non-physical closeness. Those who, the people of knowledge, how we benefit from them, things like of that nature. So hopefully it's clear, inshallah. ويجب استصحاب حكمها. Page number 124. Yes, the niyyah should be, al-istishab is from al-sahib, the companion, which that means doesn't leave his companion. So what is meant by al-istishab, which is a terminology also in usul al-fiqh and others, is to carry with oneself that matter that needs to be or made istishab. So here in that page 124, ويجب ويسن استصحاب ذكرها. It's recommended, I'll get to it inshallah. It's recommended to carry with you at all times the remembrance of the niyyah. أي تذكر النية. That means the heart is present when a person is making wudu. Instead of just making wudu and thinking about all kinds of other things, focus while you're making wudu, remembering why you're making wudu for. So the actions are always with the niyyah. But here, وَيَجِبُ, it's obligatory to make istishab of its hukm. Istishabu hukmiha. The hukm of the niyyah, that means the niyyah is present, because once you break the niyyah, once you break the intention, then the deed is not valid. So if someone is making wudu, for example, and he made the niyyah while he's making wudu, that means he's not going to continue the wudu, he's just going to go do something else. So he broke his intentions. So that means the wudu is not valid. That means he has to start over again. Not thinking, but made the ruling to be completely different. So حكم النية بألا ينوي قطعها حتى يتم الطهارة. Do not have any intention to stop the niyyah till he finishes the طهارة. فإن عزبت عن خطير لم يؤثر. To be careful from the waswas. فإن عزبت. If the niyyah عزبت, that means went away from his whims or from his thinking, that does not affect anything. It's not about being present in one's heart and mind that he's now making what at all times. It's the hukm of it. So, and what it comes in place if someone decided to break the tahara. So that means the hukm is not there anymore. Line 7 in the same page. 142. Okay. 142. Okay. نعم ولو بزائد لزائد. نعم. Here with regards to مسو امرأة بشهوة, one of the things that breaks the wudu is to touch a woman with shahwa, with desire. والمرأة شاملة للأجنبية. What's included in there is the أجنبية, the strange woman, the one that is not mahram, and وذات المحرم, and the mahram one. This is again if it's بشهوة, with desire. والميتة, and the dead, والكبيرة, and the old, because it's not about the woman, it's about the shahwa, it's about the desire. So whether it's permissible, not permissible, whether it's something strange, weird, all of that, it doesn't matter. It's about the shahwa here. It's not like approving these things. والصغيرة المميزة وسواء كان المس باليد أو غيرها, whether it's now what constitutes touching with the hands or other than the hands. So if ولو بزائد لزائد أو أشل. الزائد if someone has a sixth finger, someone that this is not normal for someone to have six fingers. So sometimes there is an extension to one's finger. So if that part touches, right, can a person says, well, that's not part of the hand. This is something exceptional. No, that's زائد. So الزائد also ولو بزائد لزائد أو أشل. Or أشل, that someone that is what do you call it? Not able to move his legs or arms. Someone that is paralyzed. This is also that's the case. But then, if the zaid is touching a zaid, or if it's touching not zaid. So if it's extension touching an extension, or touching the original part of the yad, this is all the same, because it all constitutes touching. No. Page 141. نعم. وينقض لمسهما أي لمس الذكر والقبل معا من خنثى مشكل لشهوة أو لا إذ أحدهما أصلي قطعا. Now, the issue of touching, since it's agreed upon that touching the private part breaks the wudu. So someone is a khuntha mushkil, someone that is hermaphrodite. He has both organs. So if what's naqid here is if he touches both, whether it's for desire or not. Why? Because one of them for sure is asli, the original one, because that means it's for sure he touched what breaks the wudu, if he touched both of them. نعم. وينقض أيضا لمس ذكر ذكره أي ذكر الخنثى المشكل لشهوة، لأنه إذا كان ذكرا فقد مس ذكره، وإن كان امرأة فقد لمسها لشهوة. So the same thing if, because of these details of أو أنثى قبله أو ينقض لمس أنثى قبل الخنثى المشكل. So this is if someone else touches him. But if he touches both of them, for sure he touched what's asli, if he doesn't know the asli, or the original one. If intending both hadaths when doing ghusl suffices, does the tartib of wudu still apply if the person dips into a pool for his ghusl? Intending both hadaths. If a person is making ghusl, that takes care of the lower one, which is al-wudu. So you cannot have intentions of making ghusl and wudu at the same time. It's either ghusl or wudu. So if someone have the intention of making ghusl, then the tartib is not there anymore. So it doesn't matter because he's making ghusl. So because the ghusl, or I'm sorry, the wudu in the ghusl, this is mustahab. This is only recommended. It does not affect the ghusl. So if someone intended to make a perfect ghusl while jumping into the water, that means he's making wudu. If it's basically what the question is saying, it does not affect the act because this is not part of the ghusl. But at the same time, he's not making that sunnah wudu because the sunnah wudu has to be done with order. So this is not done with order. That means he did not make the sunnah wudu of ghusl, but his ghusl is valid, sufficient, because he made ghusl. طيب بارك الله فيكم. ما شاء الله. It seems like everybody, ما شاء الله, everything is clear. So we'll continue inshallah ta'ala next time inshallah. بارك الله فيكم. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم ربنا وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.